federal judge in Manhattan will hear arguments on whether Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, should have access to Treasury payment systems. Chanley Painter is here with the very latest. Hey, Chanley.
Hey, good morning, Carly. So this will be a big court battle, and it comes after the judge temporarily blocked Elon Musk and his team at DOGE from accessing government processing systems last week, when 19 states filed suit against the Trump administration, claiming that Musk and his team are not authorized to access Treasury Department payment systems and could jeopardize confidential information. But Treasury officials deny violating any laws. This all comes as Musk and the Trump administration face another lawsuit from 14 states claiming Musk, quote, unprecedented power as unconstitutional, saying this: there is no greater threat to democracy than the accumulation of state power in the hands of a single unelected individual. Trump's team, though, is fighting back.
So they are panicking, and Elon may be triggering just a little bit of insecurity, which is that they are worried about us looking at exactly what they've done and exactly how much they've made. And that is now stopping. And it's a panic. It's very simple.
The Department of Government Efficiency is finding itself in the crosshairs of multiple federal lawsuits. In one case, a federal judge is ordering the Trump administration to temporarily lift its 3-week funding freeze on USAID's foreign aid program, saying that Trump officials failed to explain why a blanket suspension of foreign aid is necessary before the programs are reviewed by DOGE. And in another court, a judge's order to block Trump's plan to put USAID workers on leave was extended by another week. The judge saying he needs time to consider motions in that case, and that he was concerned about the safety of USAID workers put on leave abroad.
Okay, so it's like looking back at an old tweet and seeing it age like a fine wine, us playing our memes that we've played for you for years. That meme, how old is that meme, Jerry? This meme, load it as a play beside, please. This meme of Elon Musk walking through, seeing feds deleting things and burning. We made this meme 2 years ago. We made this meme a long time ago and said this would be really funny if this happened. This is why we often say on this program, let your memes be dreams. It's Free for All Friday. These are the days for our memes to become dreams. We've been predicting, we've been physically, visually showing you the future on the program for quite a long time. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Friday, February 14th, 2025. Love. Valentine's Day, okay? Love to the chat. Hearts out to the chat. Can I get some hearts in the chat? Get some love in the chat. Maybe use an emoji of your favorite Trump administration member. I know you're all going to be punching the Alina Habba emojis. I know it, you dirty dogs. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to roll this morning. So many exciting, fun things to bring up. Stuff that maybe we missed during the week. Little interesting Easter eggs. One of my favorite Easter eggs this morning. The Trump mugshot found inside of the Oval Office. Oh yeah, baby. All of that bringing us to today's top line story of mass firings in Washington, D.C. happening right now. That scream you hear off in the distance, that disturbance in the force. What is it? It's like tens of thousands of feds screaming all at once and then being silenced. It's like amazing. Trump torches CNN to their face. Will reveal to you the horrible realities of life inside of Washington, D.C. and how these people sell their souls. Kate Land Collins will not be on the program, although she's welcome to come on any single time. Congressman Andy Biggs, who is running for the next governor of Arizona, will be on the program. Guess what? We have new polling showing that Biggs is going to be in that governor's chair very bigly Very exciting, ladies and gentlemen. Also, Mercedes Schlatt from CPAC will join the program as well. She's an advisor to President Trump in term 1. We're going to have a lot to do today. Let's get cooking. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. We will be traveling to D.C. next week. We have so many exciting things to bring to you. We will be, well, let me just preview this. We will be doing our lives from inside of the offices of members of the Trump administration. I'm just going to preview this right now for you. Big time members of the Trump administration will be sitting in their offices. We'll be going live on the program. It's not going to be a taped interview. We're going to be literally live. I can't name them yet because we're still kind of putting all the details together. And we might got a few. But we're going to go live. We're going to let it rip. And then you're going to be the ones who ask the questions. It'll be you. We have an entire system set up, like the big iPads and stuff. And so it'll be the chat that actually asks the questions of the top administration officials, the people you see on TV every single night, the people who are making all the decisions about immigration and law enforcement in this country. It'll be you conducting the interview, asking them, what's up? It'll be amazing. This is something that we are going to do. It's the first time in history that it's ever been done where a show will get an opportunity to bring the chat fully into the administration and let you effectively run the interview. It's going to be really exciting. So ladies and gentlemen, shout out to the chat. Nothing but love on this Valentine's Day to you. And we just want to say thank you for giving us the power and the energy to do this. Patriot Mobile will be with us on our way to Washington, D.C. This is the American conservative Christian cell phone company that keeps us connected, even when we're streaming live right inside of the White House. I mean, maybe, we hope so, right? It'll be inside of Trump's administration. We'll be streaming live from. Patriot Mobile will be there with us, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be really, really exciting to go there. We use Patriot Mobile because they are connected. They are on all 3 major networks, and they keep us locked and loaded all around the country. They support our First and Second Amendments, first responders, and our American military. Will we be in the Pentagon next week? Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be exciting. Make sure that your money is not gone to woke companies. Go with Patriot Mobile today. Patriot Mobile /Benny at 972 Patriot. Got a free month of service with the promo code Benny. Switch to Patriot Mobile today and defend freedom with every call you make. PatriotMobile.com/Benny 972 Patriot. Okay, so I want to start with a couple of special things. One is going to be, how do you fix your brand? And this is a special little message to my friends on the left. There are consequences to your actions, okay? You got Trump, term 1. Trump, term 1, was like a puppy dog. I'm not trying to insult anyone. I don't want to offend you, okay? I like Trump, term 1. It was fine. It's nothing compared to what we're seeing now. It's like totally different. It's like a different animal. Trump, term 1, Donald Trump came into office willing to do deals with Democrats, govern from the middle. Invite Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and Gavin Newsom over, go do some dinners. Trump was going to give you universal health care. It's like, you could have gotten anything you wanted if you had just done the deal with the guy. He came into office as a centrist, and you couldn't resist your psychotic, demonic, evil urges. The second President Trump got into office, you said he stole the presidency. You called him a Russian plant. You called him a Russian agent. You launched investigations into every person in his administration. You kneecapped and gutted guys like Mike Flynn, patriots, honorable men. You sabotaged and kneecapped him from the get by putting his entire campaign staff, Paul Manafort, in prison. Then you launched a special investigation, special counsel. That lasted for 3 years. Just pure taxpayer-funded harassment of the president from within his own administration. Then you impeached him for nothing. Then you impeached him again for nothing. Then you locked up his supporters. Then You locked President Trump up. You arrested Trump, gave him a mugshot. Then you charged President Trump with 470 years worth of crime. You tried to bankrupt him. You got rulings against him for hundreds of millions of dollars, which anybody will tell you would be a very, very hard ruling to pay off, no matter how rich you are. Nobody's that liquid. Then you shot him. Then you hoped he got killed. Then you let multiple assassins come within literally like an arm's length of him from the bushes. Then you got that. And now you're all wondering why Trump's so mean to you. Now you're going to, why is he so mean? Why is he so mean to us? We're so sad. Whatever happened? What did we ever do to you? You raided the guy's wife's closet. He's married to a supermodel from Slovenia. You raided the billionaire's wife. You sent your degenerate pervert agents in there to go sniff. You sickos. He's got one prepubescent son living at home. You raided his stuff. You messed with his Nintendo Switch. You reset it. You messed up his high score. You messed up Baron's Minecraft. You jackasses. Do you know what you did? And now you're complaining that Trump's being mean to you? Now you're upset at the monster you created, Frankenstein? Here's a photo of the mugshot in the Oval Office. This is new. It should have told you, President Trump's portrait should have told you everything. The moment Trump dropped that portrait, which we should hang up in the studio, honestly, Klein. The moment Trump dropped that new portrait, right? Presidential portrait with him looking very much like the mugshot. We had the mugshot hanging in the studio for ages. Now the mugshot hangs in the White House. Now, it's very interesting, this door. This specific door is where all guests, there's an official door where like the National Security Council and, the vice president, people who have like small, you can see over his shoulder there's Mike Waltz. He's national security. He has his own office adjacent to the Oval. But this is the door where the guests enter the Oval Office, okay? So every guest that goes in the Oval Office walks right past Trump's mugshot. Can we please zoom in one more time? There it is. We've never seen that door open. So when Donald Trump's welcoming in people to the White House, they see his mugshot as a reminder. Well, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick trip down memory lane. Some bad actions, all bad actions have consequences. Laws of physics. Don't break the law, okay? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Don't break those laws. You can't break the laws of physics. We're sensing that right now. Letitia James getting sued by the Justice Department. Some actions have measurable consequences with data, okay? That's what that is right here, the back of the studio. It's a big, gigantic physical map we have in the studio of the election results. Here are some other pieces of measurable data. If you are a business and you take bad actions, then you can measure that data. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Democrat Party, which is in full-on panic, has decided to not read the data. What I'm showing you here is the stock price of Anheuser-Busch. You'll notice that the stock price of Anheuser-Busch really took a hit during COVID, as did virtually every other stock on planet Earth, except for Pfizer stock, which is currently experiencing their doomsday with RFK Jr. getting the chair at HHS. But you can see here it took a pretty bad dump during COVID because they canceled all the sporting events and canceled frat parties and stuff like that, and this is where you would drink Bud Light. It also took quite a plunge right here, virtually as bad as COVID, was this dip. What exactly is this dip here? This is the high water mark for cultural wokeism, when Bud Light decided to partner with Dylan Mulvaney. And at least 30 to 40% of all Bud Light drinkers said, we're not doing that. And canceled, boycotted the brand in the single most successful boycott in American history. How successful is the boycott? This is an article from just a few days ago. This is an article from exactly 7 days ago, February 7th. Bud Light hasn't recovered from Mulvaney controversy 2 years ago, Anheuser-Busch executive says. 30% drop in sales, exodus of customers. Now, let me know in the chat. Will you ever drink a Bud Light again? I don't think people will. I think that Bud Light has lost 30% at least of their customers forever, right? I think 30% of the customer base is gone forever. Partnering with Dylan Mulvaney is the single most toxic decision any brand could ever make. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Still down 30%. So it's about 30% of the market. Bud Light is now no longer the king of beers. It's not. It's been replaced by Modelo. Now, I don't know exactly what that says about our society or culture, but I can tell you it's not good. Okay? So this is what you would call a crisis for a brand, right? Right about here is a crisis. We were very happy to cover this. I'm going to tell you I haven't had a Bud Light since. I don't plan on ever drinking a Bud Light again. I guess we'll, right? Like I guess like some things have to stick. Let me show you another piece of data that sort of tracks in its own way with public stock market data. Share of those who say they have an unfavorable opinion of the Democrat Party. This is from Axios. Survey started in November 2008. Show that the Democrat Party is the single most unpopular party in America and is the most unpopular it's ever been. Oh my. I got a load of this. Two very fun things about this graph. And let's read the top line here, but something very special about this graph. Show you how rigged everything is. Survey started when Barack Obama got into office, 2008. You can see the Democrat Party only had 35% disapproval. That's pretty good. Wow. Listen, a lot of people had a strong, positive opinion on the Democrat Party. Very few people disapproved of the party, respectively, back here, Obama's first term in office. And that number has jigsawed a little bit up and down, but really has skyrocketed in the dawn of the new Trump golden era to 57%. Now, that is untenable. That is actually a full 1-to-1 reversal. So you're talking 30% disapproval to 60% disapproval, give or take, margin of error. That's doubling your disapproval. That's swapping 2 for 1, the people who approve of your party versus disapprove. That's a crisis. Now you'll notice this question was not asked between August 2019 and January 2020. So they just skipped the Biden years. These frauds. As I was reading this article, I was like, you jackals. They skipped the Biden years. But anyway, why would you do that exactly, pollster? Someone explain to me, why would you do that? Anyway, Democratic Party is most unpopular has been in polling that dates back to 2008. So sort of the remaking of the party in the Barack Obama coalition of the dispossessed victimhood coalition, right? Rainbow flag, DEI, BLM coalition of Barack Obama. Democrats are struggling to repair their image with voters after a bruising 2024 election that put President Trump at the White House and Republicans in control of both houses of Congress. Democrat lawmakers are grappling, in some cases experimenting with how to best respond to Trump's rapid sweeping changes in the early days of the administration. We'll get to the mass firings here in just a second. It's amazing. 57% of registered voters have an unfavorable opinion of the Democrat Party, the highest percentage since Quinnipiac started asking the question. 45% of voters have an unfavorable opinion of the Republican Party, but But who cares? Because that's a whole 14 points less. Isn't that amazing? The Democrat Party is, by every single measure, the single most unpopular party by orders of magnitude in the country right now. The same CNN poll found that 58% of Democrats and Democrat-leading independents say the party needs major changes or to be completely reformed. This is where I'm getting to here, okay? It's fun to it's called the weave, all right? Who does the Democrat Party bring in to fix their image problem? Dylan Mulvaney! It's so great. It makes me so happy. I cannot emphasize enough how much I endorse Dylan Mulvaney as the next DNC chairperson. I cannot emphasize this enough. This will work for the Democrat Party as well as it worked for Bud Light. Let's toss it up. Okay, here we go. So this is Chuck Schumer, the de facto leader of the Democrat Party. Can you get me Chuck Schumer screaming about Elon Musk? That clip is so funny. This is Chuck Schumer, without question, the leader of the Democrat Party. Nancy Pelosi's getting rolled around in a wheelchair somewhere. Haven't heard from Pelosi in ages. She's utterly off her rocker. Chuck Schumer is like the last vestige of some type of institutional power that they have. And here you go. You're getting fully Mulvaney'd. Here's the end result of what happened to Bud Light. Dylan Mulvaney announced his Bud Light partner in 2023. Mulvaney's video was part of Bud Light's efforts. Younger audiences. How'd that work out? Exactly. The video triggered backlash. And it cost the brewer as much as $1.4 billion in sales. That's actually about as much as Kamala Harris wasted on the 2024 presidential campaign. Isn't that right? Yeah, okay. That's right. So this is the absolute state of the Democrat Party right now. Presented without comment. Chuck Schumer's wife. Just gonna do the JD Vance glance. Just doing the glance. There you go. Okay, got it? All right, great. Maybe this is why Chuck seems so miserable when he gets a chance to actually speak to the American public in front of a microphone. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just wanting to tell you what we're up against. Here we go. Here's what we're up against.
I'm going to stand with you in this fight, and we will win. 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 We won't rest. We won't rest. We won't rest. We won't rest. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Leader Schumer.
Okay, I won't do this to your ears again. I'm sorry, but look at the Geico. Do you see the Geico caveman here? The Batman villain with his little cane. This is what we're up against. Donald Trump is firing tens of thousands of feds today, and these are the people protecting them. One more time, they've been resorted. I'm reminded that the kings of the Old Testament that needed to be humbled by God were sent out into I think it was Nebuchadnezzar was turned into an animal and was sent out into the fields. This is old passage from the Old Testament. The kings that were too prideful got humbled and were turned into animals and lived like animals. Nebuchadnezzar or King Saul is one of them, right? Went out and lived like a cow, ate grass. Well, now you have Democrat leaders mooing and just making animal noises for no reasons. Are we literally witnessing Old Testament justice before our eyes? Here we go.
Now,
I'm going to be quick because I want to send a message to somebody. Elon, take your musty millions and musty Moscow rights to the moon. Because if you don't,
That's an applause line.
we're going to stand up, we're going to speak out, we're going to march, we're going to do anything we need to do to make sure that the people of this country understand that the CFPB is for them. You get your musty hands off of our money or go to Moscow, you musty moon.
Like you must moo. They're actually being reduced. They're being reduced to animals. They're being reduced to animal noises. Speaking of, ladies and gentlemen, people being reduced to, I don't really know. Cavemen. This is George Lopez. You remember George Lopez, the comedian? Used to do stand-up specials. People thought he was kind of funny. It was always kind of a creation of Hollywood culture. He wasn't actually ever that funny, but there was a time when George Lopez was like this. Get me a photo. Get me a photo of George Lopez, clean shaven from the early aughts, right? This is what Trump derangement does to a person. There you go. Good. Yeah. Okay. Here's the difference. Okay. Here's George Lopez, pre-Donald Trump, pre full-blown TDS. And this is George Lopez after, at the beginning of the second Trump presidency. This is what it does to you. Okay? Don't, please, don't let undiagnosed TDS ruin your life too. These are the people who are running the government. These are the theater freaks who were running the government for the last 4 years. In case you're wondering why egg prices are so high. Yeah. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to set all of that up just to give you just a little bit of extra gunpowder in your coffee this morning. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, that's the resistance. That's it. The party of Dylan Mulvaney and David Hogg and mentally disturbed George Lopez, caveman George Lopez, and members of Congress doing animal noises. That's who's standing in our way. And Donald Trump saying, oh, wow, you actually are a fake party. And it's all fake. And there actually isn't any resistance. We're just going to march right through your lines and topple your castles and break your idols. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of idol breaking today. Trump administration begins mass layoffs across multiple agencies. Let's freaking go. Day after the Trump administration ended its deferred resignation offer to the nation's 2 million federal government employees, the administration on Thursday began mass layoffs across multiple federal agencies in a move that is expected to impact thousands of employees. Sources familiar with the matter told ABC. The layoffs, part of Trump's campaign pledge to slash the federal government, initially impacted probationary employees, recent hires joined by the federal workforce within the last 2 years, depending on the agency. Based on the most recent data available, March 2024, there were approximately 150,000 federal workers, excluding Defense Department employees, with 1 year or less of service. Among the agencies experiencing layoffs were the Department of Education, the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, the Office of Personnel Management, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the General Services Administration, followed by Small Business Administration. Some of the additional agencies also directed to begin their layoffs Thursday, sources said. At some agencies, workers received written notice via email that they had been let go and then locked out of their workplaces. At OPM, that's the signature of big balls, okay? That's how you know you've been teabagged by big balls. Is when you just get, when your password changes and they know that this is these feds don't even, they're so illiterate on working inside of any systems that actually have any relation to the real world and the private sector with any type of competency or command of the universe around us as it is, not as it used to be in the 1950s, which is where the government is. All you have to do is just change their password once and they're fired. They can't do it. They can't do anything. They have to go down into the cave troll mine, which we have an update on in just a second. At some agencies, workers joined a phone call with a pre-recorded message notifying them of their firing. According to somebody familiar with the call, about 200 probationary workers were on the call. So you have a pre-recorded message. It says from the acting director, but it would be hilarious if it was Big Balls. Just a Big Balls pre-recorded message. So what would you say you do here? For real, no cap. Bro. Not cool. It's like, it's so easy. It's just like having gamer handles go through and fire you, right? Yeah. Ligma Johnson, Diggas Biggas, Hairy Balls, and Big Balls coming through like a wrecking ball and telling you, here we go. Good afternoon. This is what the call said. Thank you very much for your time to meet today. This is a difficult conversation. I want to be direct and ensuring that you have all the information and support that you need. According to an audio recording obtained by ABC, this is what the OMB director, Charles Ezell, said. He told employees they were all being laid off and instructed them to gather your personal things and leave. Close the meeting to express hope. And I love that it's pre-recorded. So it's like all the screeching and screaming and crying and rage. Like you can't, what are you going to do? Like yell at the robot? They should actually have Elon's Tesla robots do these things. Expressing hope that those who fired us would use this as an opportunity for our next step forward. Got it. Prior to layoffs, agencies have been directed by Office of Personnel Management, acts as a federal government HR agency, to compile a list of probationary employees in their agencies. Thousands and thousands and thousands of feds being let go today. Now, we warned them. I want to begin by saying that because there's some like really, some very, very interesting things that are happening right now. We warned them, okay? We said that the fork in the road email, if we could please resurface that. There's this fork in the road email that was sent out. And we did a show where we said, I beg you, if you are somebody who has any type of skill or capacity to cut it in the private sector, if you're a lawyer, if you're an accountant, if you're just somebody who believes in yourself, take the offer. It won't get better. The reason why we said this is because we know Russ Vought, because we know the people who are doing it. We know the people inside the administration. We understand how they are looking at this puzzle, right? And how they're going to solve it. Please get me the fork in the road email. Okay, thank you. It's very important. It's one of the most crystal clear and most beautifully worded pieces of government documentation you'll ever see. Deferred resignation email to federal employees. The fork in the road, as it's called here. It's very similar email was actually sent out to the workforce at Twitter when Elon Musk took it over. And it goes like this. This is your golden ticket to retire, resign, leave your job, get 8 months pay, get whatever retirement you've earned. You can do whatever you want for 8 months. You can get out of Dodge. You can leave. And then you can use that time to go find another job. You can get 2 paychecks during that time. You can go be useful to the American economy and the American society. You can be a useful function of the culture, right? Instead of a parasite or a cancer on it. At the time when we read this, we did a whole show where we said what this is it's a trap. The useful employees are going to take it. They're going to say, absolutely, this is the best offer I've ever received. You mean I get to be paid and I get to go be an accountant somewhere else and probably make more money? Yes. Done. Give me now. They grabbed the offer and they left. About 100,000 feds did that. Said, wow, I actually have skill that translates to the private sector. I'm not a zero value or negative value employee. But because I've spent so much time working in DC, because I know these feds, because I know who they are, many of them can't even get their fat asses up to go into the office. Do you realize this? Like, many of them don't fit into the offices. Like, they don't function outside of like these work from home, like they're so handicapped, they're so crippled mentally, physically, emotionally. These are the kind of people that were so scared of COVID that they've decided to bar themselves in, lock themselves in forever. Never be a functional or productive part of society. And what they found in the federal government was a permanent welfare program that effectively paid them much more than welfare ever would to do nothing. And they know that they'll never find that in the private sector. And so they're clinging on to that like fraud, right, against the American taxpayer. It's called a charity, right? So we are giving them charity in the form of a paycheck for a no-show job that they don't do. It's not going to work out anymore. And so, being like the good-hearted people that we are, we decided to warn those feds that this was a trap, okay? Maybe some people told us to say, maybe that's how it was explained to us, actually. Who knows? This is a trap. This is an opportunity for people like Elon Musk and Office of Personnel Management, run by Russ Vought, to see which feds were actually useful. Take the job and move immediately to the private sector and go be productive members of society. The zero value, negative value employees are, of course, going to cling to their welfare fed jobs as long as humanly possible. And they're the ones who deserve to be fired. And now that's what you're seeing. This is what you're seeing. Here we go, baby. Mass layoffs happening as we speak. Let's go.
75,000 federal workers have accepted the administration's buyout offer to get paid until September or risk being laid off. About 3% of the federal workforce, less than the 5 to 10% the administration was hoping for. That offer now closed, and tonight we're learning mass layoffs for those who didn't take the offer have begun, with thousands of people expected to be let go. The Department of Education yesterday firing 40 employees hired over the last year. In a letter telling them the agency finds, based on your performance, that you have not demonstrated that your further employment at the agency would be in the public interest.
What more are you learning about these mass layoffs?
Yeah, Stephanie, tonight we have learned that people who work at several agencies have now been informed that they've been fired as part of these mass layoffs. People that work at the Education Department, the EPA, the Small Business Administration, and other agencies now being told they no longer have a job. And Stephanie, thousands more are expected to be impacted.
Mike Davis was on our show saying Letitia James' fat ass is going to be put in prison. His words, not mine. Okay, take it up with him. We told Letitia James what was going to happen. She got sued yesterday by the DOJ. And little birdies tell us that they haven't even gotten started on carving up Letitia James. We told these feds that this was a trap. That you should take the offer and run. And even if you don't know what you're going to do, like, just figure it out, because you are being walked into a bear trap. The feds who are going to cling the hardest, their welfare jobs, are the ones who are going to be fired first. And that's exactly what's going on. Oh, it's so salty, ladies and gentlemen. We are sorry for the salt. We haven't given enough salt to our liberal friends this week. My producer, executive producer ALX, reminding me that we must always salt our libs to keep them with the sodium that they need to survive. You have to have sodium to survive. You do. And when they're crying so much, they lose their sodium, and we're kind on this show. And so we salt our libs, ladies and gentlemen. Here's our salty lib of the day. CNN reporting on the layoffs, holding back literal tears.
scores of federal workers' jobs on the chopping block as the Trump administration instructs federal agencies to move forward with layoffs, probationary workers who've been employed for less than a year or two, taking the brunt of this hit. Officials targeting their positions because they have fewer job protections than other federal employees and are not able to appeal the decision. According to recent data, there are more than 200,000 employees who fall into that category. Some of the agencies hit hardest this week: the Department of Education, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Department of Veterans Affairs, the Small Business Administration, and the Department of Energy. Those firings come as President Trump, with the help of Elon Musk and his so-called Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, swiftly moved to shrink the size of the federal workforce and restructure the very workings of the federal government. Democrats are trying to push back against the changes. It's proven an uphill battle as they have little leverage in Republican-controlled Washington.
There are public servants across the nation who go to work every single day to fulfill their duties and their obligations to the American people, and all of them are at risk.
Excess federal employment and liberal ideology go hand in hand. We, again, need an efficient government, not a government creating jobs for the sake of creating government jobs.
Why weren't you listening, man? You know, to the feds that are crying today? Like, why weren't you listening? Just, like, tune into the show. We'll find clips like these for you. You don't have to watch the whole thing. It's like, this is like 90 minutes of Elon Musk being interviewed via Zoom. Elon Musk in a tech support shirt from inside of the executive office building next to the White House, in fluorescently lit, dingy office that he's sleeping in a sleeping bag in. Elon Musk saying, no, you don't understand. We're not just deleting your job. We're deleting your agency. It's not like you can come back and work for the Department of Education in the next administration. It won't be there. We've been warning you, Fed. Here we go.
Well, I think we do need to delete entire agencies as opposed to leave part of them behind. Because if you leave part of them behind, it's easy. It's kind of like if leaving a weed. If you don't remove the roots of the weed, then it's easy for the weed to grow back. But if you remove the roots of the weed, it doesn't stop weeds from ever growing back, but it makes it harder. So we have to really delete entire agencies, many of them. That's not to say there won't be an increase over time of bureaucracy in some new administration, but it'll be from a much lower baseline. So it's a step in the right direction. I think the overarching goal here is to lay the foundation for prosperity that will last many decades, maybe centuries. And but it will be forever. Nothing's forever. But I think we can strengthen the foundations of the United States substantially.
I'm like a true father of 12. Like, I'm just going to save the country for my kids. Dude, that's actually the greatest motivator on earth. Little X. Do we have it loaded? We just perma-load it. Little X. Save America. Help Trump. Like, it's pretty easy, actually. Like, these are the best motivators. Donald Trump saying, get ready. Get ready. I'm going to cast this is a great meme. A great Harry Potter meme. How dare you use my own spells upon me, Potter. Donald Trump, I'm going to audit the IRS. Oh, hell yes, let's go.
Mr. President, Doge workers arrived today, Gavin Clagger and others arrived today at the IRS. Do you expect to close the IRS, or what are you expecting?
No, I don't expect it, but I think that the Internal Revenue Service will be looked at like everybody else. Just about everybody's going to be looked at. So it's they're doing a hell of a job. It's an amazing job they're doing. And, that force is building I call it the force of super geniuses, but it's building. And, they go up and they talk to some of the people about certain deals, and the people get all tongue-tied. They can't talk because these people get it. They're very smart people. We need smart people, yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's just go very, very quickly here before we get to the congressman that is the single happiest congressman on planet Earth right now, Representative Andy Biggs, who's just... just whistling Dixie. Here we go. The savings Andy Biggs has been talking about this on our program for years. Saving 75,000 government employees taking the Trump buyouts. That'll save the federal government $7.5 billion in salaries, not including benefits. So tens of billions of dollars already saved. You can go ahead over here to the National U.S. Debt Clock that now has a new widget that shows how much Doge has saved. Oh, okay. Doge has saved close to $100 billion. It's like, and they've only been at it for 3 weeks. Barely. Not even really 3 weeks. Right there on the top left, please. The gold clock right there with the Doge badge. Yep. Let's go ahead and zoom in. I just want to make sure that everyone can see this beautiful, sweet number. There it is, the actual saving clock, Doge clock. You can find this at usdebtclock.org. Oh, yeah, baby. So as all the feds lose their jobs, something very fascinating is happening, according to Google, and we checked this. Oh, my. Google Trends in Washington, D.C. are starting to look pretty frightening, ladies and gentlemen. The District of Columbia Google Trend for immunity is skyrocketing. Immunity. How do I get immunity for my crimes? The Google Trends for lawyer have increased by 400%, according to data from Google Trends. This one's my favorite. Washington, D.C. searches for Swiss bank, offshore bank, and wire money have skyrocketed over time. Do you feel like you are a slave to a criminal enterprise and that these people have just been put there to rob you blind? Which is exactly what's happened for my entire life? Yes. And now they're trying to get away with their crime. Every single wire out of DC for over $1 million needs to be audited immediately. Needs to be shut down and audited immediately. Who's moving that kind of money? Which Fed is moving that kind of money? Where'd they get it? It's like the single greatest heist and robbery, the single largest value money heist and robbery that's ever. Bernie Madoff, Sam Bankman-Fried has nothing on these guys. They're dime store criminals compared to what's happening in D.C. right now. The Constitution explicitly requires, says Vivek, the government to tell the public how our money is being spent. Until now, they haven't. Article 1, Section 9. A regular statement and account and receipts of expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. The Doge website is live, ladies and gentlemen. Please enjoy. Go on over, and you can see Doge finally actually publishing where our money's going in this nation. Oh, it's just an exciting time to be alive. Ladies and gentlemen, a man joining us who is arguably probably the greatest fiscal and oversight hawk in all of Congress, somebody who's been a thorn in the paw of the deep state for so long, a thorn in the paw of Republican leadership that goes along with this kind of obscene, obese spending, and somebody who is going to be the next governor of Arizona. We're very excited about that. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Andy Biggs joins the program live now. Congressman, is it like the opening scene of a Christmas movie, like every single day for you, when you're like walking down the street and it's like the birds are chirping and it's like, it's like snow is falling, everything's like kind of like beautiful and pristine and there's music in the background. It's got like waking up to this has got to be just really wonderful for you, who's devoted your entire life to stopping government waste.
I find myself just humming my own soundtrack, Benny. That's what I'm kind of, ooh. I have to say this. I want more, okay? I just want more. Am I too greedy? I look at the numbers that you were just putting out, the data you were just putting out, and you know what it reminded me of? If you go watch some of these old movies about when World War II is coming to an end, they're all out there. These German officers, the Nazi officers, they're all out there ripping off paintings and getting they're looting everything they possibly can and kind of hiding it. That's what the data you just showed us. That's what's kind of happening now. These people that have actually been looting the Treasury and our pocketbooks for years are now trying to hide it. And we got to get the audits going on that. So the work is, I just feel like the work's just beginning, and hallelujah, it's finally coming around. But Benny, there's more work to do, more smiling to happen, more good to come our way.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So there's two levels here. I want to talk state level because Arizona is a place with a special place in my heart. We partner with Turning Point. We're out in Arizona quite often, and that's a state that's been. I think that's a state that's been just talk about crimes, right, and mismanagement. But let's stay on the federal level for just a moment. Can you please explain to me, Congressman, why these searches would be spiking in Washington, D.C. specifically? This seems to be like a pretty blatant indication of mass crimes going on right now and real fear inside of the machine.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It is fear. So when you're talking about what different people in the D.C. area are looking at, moving money out of the country, how to get new lawyers because they're all going to need lawyers, how to hide money, how to move money from your mattress to the Caymans, those types of things. When you see that, it kind of confirms what we've suspected all along. I mean, so Doge. I mean, there's one case, and I don't want to misquote this, but where half of the money for the contract is black. We don't know where it went, right? So you had receipts paying, this outfit. But they're showing us. They're saying, yeah, but there's half of the contract. It was paid out, but who did it go to? Who did it go to? And I've often said, and I think you've agreed with this, and I know you believe this too, when government is so big and there's so much money floating around out there, there is corruption. And this is, the Democrats don't want you to find the corruption. They don't want you to find it right now because I think some of them are going to get implicated perhaps. I don't know. But that's what's going on. I think
other Democrat members of Congress?
Yeah, well, I think so. I mean, look, they're getting their money from somewhere. I mean, Senator Warren, the guy who ran for the Marxist. Yeah, the Marxist who ran for the president. But then I thought, well, there's more than that. We got to get
Congressman, the Marxist dude on the left. You're gonna have to narrow that down, okay? You're gonna have to help me here.
Yeah, but I mean, so for example, just take a look at their FEC reports. Who are they getting money from? So this big pharma. So it's big pharma, and then they have the audacity to go after RFK Jr. But so that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Where are they getting their money to run for Senate and Congress and president and I can't get a DC lobbyist PAC to give me a nickel. I mean it's when I announced I was running for governor, the K Street lobbyists all threw a party. That's the kind of stuff I get.
All right. So before we move to Arizona quickly, would you be in favor of major investigations? I mean, you are on Judiciary and Oversight. Those are the two scariest committees, right, if you're a criminal. Are we going to see aggressive action to look into how this waste and abuse and criminal activity? We have heard just from our own reporting, we have heard that the acts are being considered criminal at DHS when they forked over $60 million for luxury hotels for criminal migrants. They clawed that money back, but those actions are being now looked at by the Inspector General as potentially criminal actions by the individuals at FEMA. So we'd love to see more of that, right? Because without people actually suffering penalties, it'll just continue.
Right. And so Oversight Committee, and I've talked to Chairman Comer about this, he's anxious to do some aggressive hearings. We actually sat on the floor a couple of days ago and talked about some ideas, and I think he's serious about it. I mean, after all, he made Marjorie Taylor Greene the Doge subcommittee chair, and that's pretty good. I'll just tell you the other thing I'm finding intriguing is that the left doesn't have any. The Democrats in Congress have no answers to this other than to say, "Oh, Elon Musk." And I'm finding myself saying, can you come up with something new? So they just transferred the Trump derangement syndrome to Elon Musk derangement syndrome. And that's really kind of the goofiness that we've got going on. But anyway, yes, And back to your real point, when I'm kind of digressing here, and I apologize, but here's the deal: if you don't hold people accountable for actual criminal acts, and I'm not talking about maybe they misfiled a paper here or there or something. I'm talking about actual criminal acts where you want to undermine the country, and enrich yourself or enrich one of our adversaries or anything like that. That has to be investigated and ultimately prosecuted. That's how you restore the rule of law, which evaporated. It was eroding under Obama, but it totally evaporated under Joe Biden. I almost said that the former Marxist in the White House sleeping on a beach in Delaware, but that's Joe Biden. But here's the deal: because they let that evaporate completely, that's why this looks like draconian stuff that Trump's doing. But I don't find it very draconian at all. I mean, he's just doing actually the same thing that some Democrats have called on for years. Hey, we need an outside agency to investigate fraud, waste, and corruption. Well, we do it, and they don't like it. They don't like it because now it's real. Now it's real.
Now that they're going to have to go find actual donors and not USAID. It's very interesting. USAID funding plenty of NGOs that have terrorized your state and terrorized the citizens of your beautiful state, Arizona, one of the most pristine and just absolutely gorgeous states out there. Again, a soft place in my heart, special place in my heart for it because I spent a lot of time out there. And I would love to see you become governor. Here's the new polling. And this is the first time you joined the show since these new polls showing that you have a lead against Katie Hobbs in the governor's race. And we're very excited about that. How's that race going, Congressman?
Well, it's going well. I mean, the response has been great. We got into it kind of stealthily, and since then it's been just picking up like crazy. We've got almost all of our signatures already in, and they haven't even told us how many signatures you need, right? So we're doing well there. People volunteering all over the state. I'll be all over the state this next week, because Congress has worked so hard that we're taking the week off next week. So so I have an opportunity to go all over the state and visit, and the response has been great. And so it's awesome. This is a great state. Great state.
So there are a lot of, obviously there have been so many dark tales about how elections are run in Arizona, about the cartels operating politicians in Arizona. Katie Hobbs, just a real lunatic. I mean, every time you hear her talk, you're like, what? This lady's crazy, right? Like, and she doesn't debate. I mean, do you expect that she would debate you actually? Do you think there's going to be any funny business if it's you versus her for the chair in 2026?
Yeah, here's the deal. I've known Katie for a long time, and I think she's going to run a stealth campaign again, Benny. I mean, that's what she did last time. She just kind of stayed out there. It's going to be a little bit different for her because I do know her. I do know the issues very, very well in the state and federally as well. And so I get her all over the state. And as I'm all over the state, they would like me to debate her. And I would like to debate her as well. But I don't think they're going to do that. Because I think that they're concerned about what that might look like when we start talking about water policy. And I mean, if you take out water policy, for instance, which is a huge thing for our economy in Arizona, and because of her policies, houses are going to be, the average price of a house in Arizona is going to be jacked up in the next couple of years, Benny, to literally somewhere $700,000, and it's going to be. We're going to make California look rational if we don't make a change there.
Wow. Okay, so you're going to run on water policy, and I assume you would run very strongly on deportations, closing the border, working with President Trump to make Arizona safe again.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just tell you the nub of my threefold policy is border security. I'm the only one of my opponents, right or left, that actually knows the border issue, who has actually done the border. So, and we've got a governor now with the AG that they would like to make us a sanctuary state, and that won't happen with me. Second thing is the economy, and if you're going to make housing unaffordable, then that's no good. That's no bueno for Arizona. I can tell you that, and it will hinder our growth. And then the third thing is, we have the one of the best, if not the best, educational choice law in the country, the best. And she's trying to squeeze that so that won't go, right? And she would like to ratchet that down. In the meantime, we've got some of the highest rated schools and some of the lowest rated schools in the country. Our NAEP scores are bad. Benny, we should be leading the country educationally. We've got a need for engineers in this state, and doggone it, we should be just doing better. And that's really what I think people care most about in this state.
It would be certainly a breath of fresh air. You live in a red state, man. I've always said this about Arizona. Like, you travel around, you see so many American flags, you see so many patriots, so many like cowboys, so many people that just like want to be left alone. You live inside of like a red/libertarian state that has like such, it's so liberty-hearted and minded. I don't believe in this like blue mirage. I don't believe it. I don't believe that it's like a blue state. Trump won it pretty handily. I think the best split of any swing state went to Arizona from election to election. You have a Republican legislature. You have a Republican Senate. This is what the split was with the state. These were the results. Man, I don't buy it. Like, I think you should. You're going to be the next governor of Arizona, and I'm so excited about it. Anything that we can do to help you. Here's your announcement. We thought this video was great. Sounds like you already got quite a bit of energy behind you, Congressman. Let's go.
I am jumping in formally into the race for governor for 2026. I think.
All right. So, what's the next step for you in conclusion here? What's the next? What's gonna be the next hurdle for your candidacy?
Well, so it's money. You got to have, like Flip Wilson used to do a routine. He said, we want to make this church run, and it takes money to run. And someone in the back of the congregation says, well, let it crawl then. That we don't want to crawl, we want to run. So we got to have some money. And that's the big thing, Benny. And the folks are out there. We're doing the signatures. It's just getting out. I love the people, and they've been very supportive, and they've been willing to open up their hearts, minds, pocketbooks. We're going to win this, Benny. And when we win it, that map you just showed, that's exactly how I'm going to win it as well. I'm probably not going to get Pima County, but I can do okay in Pima County and Santa Cruz County, and I could do okay in Navajo County, but I probably won't win it. But I am going to win, and Coconino, probably not going to win Coconino either. But I'm going to win the rest of those counties. And when we win those counties, then I'll be the next governor. We're going to win the primary. We're going to win the general. So it's hard work. But you know what? It's good work. It's important work.
You've been a friend of our show, and you always spit fire and honesty when you're on here. And so we say Godspeed, Congressman. Here's the Congressman's account, by the way. You should follow. So look at that. We're just going to round up. A million people follow Andy Biggs. Here's his petition for governor of the state of Arizona. Obviously a critical swing state that is red. That is Trump territory. And we should keep it that way. And Andy Biggs is the way to do it. Godspeed, Congressman. Thank you. Let us know when we can go out and do a rally in Arizona, man. Be fun.
I'd love it, Benny. Let's do it.
All right. Later.
Yeah, take care. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. That's right.
And for Arizona's happy statehood day. It's statehood day.
Nice. Gotta love it. Love. Nothing but love. See ya.
Yeah. Is that how you do that? I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. A little heart out of the chat. We do the heart.
Oh, that's it.
That's right. That's right.
It looks more like a slug than a heart, but I don't know.
Shout out to the chat. Thank you, Congressman.
Thanks.
Ooh, man, talk about a slug to the face. Savage Donald Trump yesterday at the White House. Kate Land Collins of CNN, somebody who recently discovered she's a lib. We can say this because there's she used to work for Tucker Carlson and Tucker Carlson's news network, and then got paid enough money to go do a different thing, right? So Who's for sale? Caitlin at the White House interrupting President Trump in one of Trump's all-time savage moments from the Oval Office. Here we go.
Mr. President, you won the White House in part because of high inflation. If your tariffs make prices go up...
Excuse me, we haven't asked you to speak yet, please. Right?
I haven't asked you to speak yet. This is like, now she interrupted time and time again. Smarmy, snarky. Here we go.
It's President Biden's fault, not President Putin. I mean, he's the one.
I think Biden is incompetent, and I think when he said that they could join NATO, I thought that was a very stupid thing to say. I thought when he said, well, it depends if it's a minor incursion. In other words, it's okay if Russia does a minor incursion. I thought that was a very foolish thing to say. The other thing that got it started was how badly Milley and these stupid people, these bad generals, how badly they did with Afghanistan. I was going to pull out, but we were pulling out with dignity and strength, and we were going to take our equipment with us and everything else. They are... I mean, what they're doing is what they did with that. I think Putin looked at that mess and he said, wow, this is a great time. I'm going to go in. But what the Americans said, I'm not blaming Americans, but I will say what they said had a big influence on his deciding to go.
Where does all the animus come from? Well, CNN parked a barge of money up on Caitlin Collins' lawn, and she decided to abandon all of her principles and become a left-wing, shrill, screechy harpy from the White House, yapping. And she continued to interrupt Trump again and again and again. Again, I'll play a clip here in just a second of Caitlin Collins on Fox News talking about how evil George Soros is and left-wing propaganda. It's like, dude, it just shows that D.C. is where you go to sell your soul. Here we go. Donald Trump roasting CNN to their face.
And this should have been done by Biden years ago. This should have never been allowed to happen. I know he's a friend of yours.
But couldn't Putin just withdraw his...
He's a friend of
today?
CNN. That's why nobody watches CNN anymore, because they have no credibility. Okay, who else? Yes, please.
Yes. On brand, on message. That old clip of Don on CNN, right? With Caitlin Collins being a little inquisitor, turning the entire audience against her. You want to know how you create a supervillain? The villain origin story. We can grab that real fast. The Russia comment specifically. I want people to stop dying. Oh, I just got to whip it out. I got to whip it out. When Trump whipped it out on Caitlin, I'm not trying to make a joke, like actually happened. And it was great. This is where the villain origin story comes from. Caitlin Collins getting humiliated by Donald Trump live on CNN. Donald Trump showing her how it's done, turning the entire audience against her, making them all laugh at her in what many called the single most humiliating moment for CNN ever broadcast, which is to be atop that list is quite an accomplishment. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
What happened on that day?
He
You said
did
you
not
weren't.
say that.
He has testified that, Mr.
He did
President.
not say that.
But you said you weren't very involved that day. You did tell your supporters to come to Washington. You tweeted about it, about
True,
that
of
speech
course.
that happened on the rally.
Am I allowed
when
to say that?
When they went to the Capitol and they were breaking into the Capitol, smashing windows, injuring police officers, why did it take you 3 hours to tell them to go home?
I don't believe it did. Oh, let me pull it out. I have to pull it out.
Come on.
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to. You're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Here's the thing. So a reporter asking, you could raise me and say, oh, well, Peter Doocy used to shout questions at Joe Biden, right? You weren't upset at that, duh. Okay, you're right. I wasn't. One, there are settings that are appropriate to ask questions. There are settings that are inappropriate to ask questions. But here's where I get pissed off at CNN for stuff like this. Who was the White House reporter for CNN during the Biden regime? You don't know. And actually, embarrassingly, even though it's my profession, neither do I. Because CNN didn't have one. They probably had somebody with the title, but there was no CNN White House. When was the last time you took? It's like they took a 4-year nap, break, resign, retirement. They slept. There was no adversarial questioning. There was no interrupting. There was dutifully nodding and agreeing with everything Kamala said and everything Joe Biden said. Never daring to interrupt. Oh, this adversarial scream and screech at Trump as he's trying to do something. You know, these are the behaviors that they flip a switch, right? They give the dog the pill, it makes it go rabid again, right? After training it in a kennel, here's the rat frothing at the mouth because Trump's back in office. Find me, okay. I'll publicly apologize if you can find me any clip where the CNN reporter behaved like this to Joe Biden. Here it is, one more time, short clip.
Mr. President, you won the White House in part because of high inflation. If your tariffs make prices go up...
Excuse me, we haven't asked you to speak yet, please. Right?
Trump's doing a photo op. He's signing an executive order. Signing an executive order having to do with the economy and with tariffs. And CNN interrupts him and starts yapping. Find me the time that they did this to Biden, okay? And I'll publicly apologize on the stream. I'll say, wow, I didn't see it. They didn't. That's what pisses me off. That's what makes me angry, okay? One final thing, okay? One final, very fun little throwback. Just to prove that these people don't believe in anything and that they are able to be purchased. Just a guy with the fistful of greasy fives, okay? The guy with the biggest wad of fives can go purchase and buy these people. They don't have any values. They don't have anything they believe in. They're atomizationists. They're year zero Marxists. They could literally be paid to do or be anything. They're the worst type of hollow vessel, empty shell, deeply, deeply unhappy individuals with nothing mooring them or centering them in life other than the cash that is currently paying for them to say the current thing. Okay, that's it. That's all they have to live for. It's awful, awful. Here's proof of that. Just a few short years ago, Kate Land Collins, sitting here on Fox News, talking about how evil globalist left-wing propaganda is. Just a few short years before, she's spewing globalist left-wing propaganda in the face of the president. Here we go.
From our nation's capital. Caitlin, what does that mean? What's George Soros trying to do with the immigration crisis?
Good morning. Okay, so George Soros is this foreign-born left-wing guy who essentially wants to change the nature of our country. And in this data dump, one of the memos was about the refugee crisis. And they made 3 points. They think that they've been successful at influencing immigration policy across the world. They think that the refugee crisis is an opportunity to continue doing so. And they think the refugee crisis is the new normal. And George Soros is this guy who is a staunch advocate for open borders. He wants people to be able to go wherever they want, whenever they want, for whatever reason. And for him, he sees this immigration policy, this crisis, as a vehicle to further his immigration agenda.
So pathetic. So sad. You have a right to change your opinions on things. I certainly have. Okay, I've sharpened my opinions and my thought process on a lot of things. Back 20 years ago, you could find me being like, wow, war in Iraq, maybe that's what we should do with George Bush. You could find that. You could find that. I was college Republican chairman of my community college. That's what I was doing back then. And I'm embarrassed about that position, and I'll explain to you why. There's no explanation for that. George Soros is evil, globalist, left-wing billionaire. Now I literally work for him. There's no explanation for that. No. It just means you're an empty vessel that can be purchased for the guy with the biggest fistful of fives, right? That's it. It's really sad. It's humiliating. You debase yourself. You disgrace yourself, actually. One final quick thing here before we get to the great Mercedes Schlapp, who worked with President Trump and media in the White House. Just one final shot across the bow to somebody who has been the ire of this program for ages and who is finally seeing the falling off the cliff point. Oh, it is a glorious moment to see Mitch McConnell lose all power and to be utterly gutted from the Oval Office by President Trump and by his colleagues who are constantly telling us via text message that he is a cancer on the Republican Party and that nobody even wants to be seen with him anymore, that nobody wants to be around him, that Mitch can't even hold conversations any longer. He's wheeled from place to place. He's not sentient, very vegetative state. And he exists only to extract bitterness. His pathetic, worthless bitterness against Donald Trump. The John McCain situation, right? He's voted against now a bunch of Trump nominees. Here's Trump just absolutely gutting McConnell yesterday.
On your cabinet, sir, we saw Robert F. Kennedy Jr. get confirmed. He's going to come in here and be sworn in. Mitch McConnell has now voted against several of your nominees. He voted against RFK Jr. as the next health secretary, citing conspiracy theories. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I feel sorry for Mitch. And I was one of the people that he wanted to go to the end and he wanted to stay leader. He's not equipped mentally. He wasn't equipped 10 years ago mentally, in my opinion. He'd let the Republican Party go to hell. If I didn't come along, the Republican Party wouldn't even exist right now. Mitch McConnell never really had it. He had an ability to raise money because of his position as leader, which anybody could do. You could do it even, and that's saying a lot. But the fact is that he raised money and he gave a lot of money to senators, and so he had a little loyalty based on the fact that as leader you could raise a lot of money. Senators would call me and they say, he wants to give me 25 million. Can I take it? I'd say, take the money. But he engendered a certain amount of, I don't even call it loyalty. He was able to get votes. But I was the one that got him to drop out of the leadership position, so he can't love me. But he's not voting against Bobby. He's voting against me, but that's all right. He endorsed me. Mitch, do you know that Mitch endorsed me, right?
Well,
you think that was easy? What?
He had polio, obviously, and
yeah. So he's voting against me. He's a sad, miserable, bitter man who has no more support. That's what people tell us. That's what senators tell us. Senators tell us nobody wants to even be seen with him anymore. That he's completely toxic. That even if you're seen with Mitch McConnell, you could get the ire of President Trump. Mitch McConnell doesn't want to be seen, obviously getting wheeled in and out. This is not the way that a government should function. This is not the way that if you loved Mitch McConnell, if you were like Mitch McConnell's wife, he has a wife, right? Why would you allow him to be disgraced like this? Resign. Do yourself service. Go to your Kentucky whatever farm with all the USAID money that you could possibly embezzle and go watch your horses. Do what you do in Kentucky. Sip your bourbon, whatever. Okay? Sounds like a nice life, actually. It's probably how I'll retire. Pretty embarrassing, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, somebody who can join us to talk about all of this, actually the perfect person to talk about, certainly CNN sniping at Trump, some of the betrayals of Republicans in establishment Republican circles who betrayed Donald Trump, is the great Mercedes Schlapp, CPAC senior advisor and a former strategic advisor to President Trump inside of the White House, joining us live now. Mercy, welcome back to the program. We're very excited about CPAC next week.
All right. Can I tell you, I've just been listening to your show and having the best time. I'm literally can someone just hand me a whole box of chocolates or something? I mean, it is Valentine's Day, and then you and I, of course, decide to wear black. I mean, that just shows you where we are right now. I mean, seriously.
That's true. I wear black every single, so I wear it every single day on the show.
No.
So much like you, I got 1 million kids.
Yeah.
And and they get my shirts dirty every morning.
Right.
So I come into the studio, and Klein's like, "Yo, you got avocado on your shirt. You got egg on your shirt, man." Because I got all these little kids. So I got like a pile of the same black T-shirt every day. They just swap it out. So that's how we roll.
Practical.
That's right. Can't do that with a suit. You can't do it with a suit.
That is true. That is true. Too much dry cleaning. It's too expensive.
That's right. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yes.
You were witness. I mean, just because this Caitlin Collins thing is so funny to me, you were witness to the way CNN treated Donald Trump in the White House day in and day out. And I know they went after you a million times over. How does this operation work? Why do they all turn into such little puppy dogs when Joe Biden is in office?
Right.
I mean, they were like laying down, letting Biden walk, like on their back on a muddy patch. Why do they do that? Like you'd have so much more credit with the American people if you like gave them. I wouldn't be complaining if you gave Biden the business, right? If you were doing the same thing to Biden, I wouldn't be complaining.
Well, one word, Benny. It's ratings. It's ratings for CNN. They want to see the combative nature of their very leftist reporter against Donald Trump. And we used to see this with Jim Acosta. Remember Jim Acosta? I think now he's got some sort of random little show because he had to leave CNN, and just so pathetic. And I remember Jim Acosta would sit there in the White House when Sarah Huckabee Sanders was press secretary, which was a time when I was there, and watch him ask these really kind of just, first of all, pathetic, degrading questions to Sarah constantly. And then, of course, if he were able to get in to ask President Trump questions, it was the same thing. And so it really did get to the point that there were conversations about moving the press briefing room over to the EEOB. There was conversations. I remember Donald Trump the president would say, is there any way we can revoke their passes? And so it's interesting when it was the first administration and it was really trying to figure things out. President was obviously a novice when it came to politics. He had a number of really horrible chiefs of staffs that I think gave him really bad advice because they thought that they were the elected official, not Donald Trump. And so, they all were trying so hard to play by the rules. And then what you realize is that these reporters have no rules. Their goal is complete and utter destruction. It is beyond the Trump derangement syndrome. It's beyond the Elon Musk derangement syndrome, because that's the new syndrome that we have now. And their goal is, what can you do to absolutely try to destroy the president, destroy the work that the administration is doing? Now, when it was Joe Biden, they had to protect the president. They had to protect his frail nature. And then they wouldn't even barely complain about the fact that they would get any access from the president. They kind of just let it be. And I just think that is just irresponsible from journalism. Look, I'm all about asking the tough question. That's fine. Sure. But when that's like their goal is even beyond that, it's beyond the fact of just the tough question, but to try to make the president look bad, make the president look dumb, which they can't do because the president's like, look, dude, they tried to kill me twice. They tried to lock me up in jail. They tried to bankrupt me and I'm still surviving and I'm up at top. So I think he's really learned to turn the tables on them and to put them in their place, which I think is the right thing to do.
So you support, this was the big brouhaha.
Yeah.
Why'd you stop the AP? The AP it continues, and this is very upsetting to my show because my show is incredibly woke. They continue to misgender the Gulf of America, right? Yeah. And the Gulf of America's preferred pronouns are the Gulf of America. That's right. They continue to do this, and it's offensive, actually, and it might cause literal damage, okay, to the Gulf of America. And I find that the AP doing that is committing violence, right? And so they should just call the Gulf of America by the preferred pronouns. They get on with it. And then Trump bans them. Can I add
to that, Benny? Yeah. That's actually interesting. But remember, it was the AP that also moved away from what is in the government documents of illegal alien. That is what we use in our government documents. They changed that to then you have to only use undocumented immigrants. Remember? So this is like their play on language. And they're doing the same exact thing, obviously, in the case of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Very interesting. That's I did not actually remember that. That's great. Of course, like they're the first ones to like run and call it Denali instead of Mount McKinley.
That's right.
So they pick and choose, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Trump bans them, and they're screaming about it, but you probably fully support that decision.
I think that the White House should definitely have a say as to who is in that press briefing room. And I think that if they keep breaking the rules, then yes, their passes should be revoked, because this is what's happened, right? They've lost the trust of the American people. That is the media, the legacy media, or whatever you want to call it. I don't call it mainstream. It's a leftist media. They don't report the news objectively. They always love using anonymous sources for everything and sources close to the White House. And yet when they would talk to White House officials, they wouldn't include them in their stories. Look, they have an enormous amount of bias, and we know this. And so the reality is that I think the White House should definitely have a say in revoking passes. I think that it definitely should be put on the table. You know, I think that it does run into the problem of the freedom of the press, but I think that the press itself is not even being responsible and just providing straight up reporting.
Yeah. Yeah. The FCC chairman was on the show like earlier in the week saying the same thing. Like you have you get to broadcast on nationally owned broadcast channels, but you have a responsibility.
Right.
To do it in the public interest, right?
Yeah.
And it's not in the public interest when Caitlin Collins interrupts Donald Trump like 7 times is trying to do something.
Yeah.
Like screaming. It's also very rude to your other reporters, actually, right? So because what you're doing is you're taking someone else's question. Jim Acosta would do this all the time.
Oh my gosh.
So
it's unbearable.
What was it? April
April Ryan. She was
April Ryan, that's right.
Yeah. And then she just would remind you that you're a racist. You know, everything would always be like,
Why
you know,
are you
Benny
racist?
Johnson, let me start the question by saying, are you a racist? Because
did you beat your wife? Like, yeah,
exactly. Like,
why did you beat your wife? That's right. That did you.
So predictable.
Why?
Then they would be like, are you a fascist? I mean, this is like this stuff that we had to deal with every single day while we were dealing with the Russian hoax. Just think about that, okay? While we were dealing with these false investigations that spent millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars. But no, I am not bitter. No, I am a really happy warrior.
And like
okay?
7 feet from the briefing room, Mercy,
Yeah.
7 feet from the briefing room, like all these bags of cocaine get found.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
nobody asks a damn question about it. Nobody
There's no
asks
video.
No.
I mean, like, you know, Hunter Biden's hanging out at the White House all the time. Well, not even that, but like with even all the activities of Hunter Biden, all the illegal activities, all the foreign investments, and they couldn't even, like, they would just scratch the surface. They might ask one question and that was it. There was no like digging deeper coming from these individuals, or they'd be like, oh no, this is just like a Republican, you know, targeting poor Joe Biden. It's just like, but that's the past, and now we're in the future, thank God, in the present moment, which is that Donald Trump is in the Oval Office, and I love how they're going at warp speed. I cannot get enough of it. I'm like going, how many news conferences can President Trump have in one day? I think he's trying to basically have the world record of press conferences from a president, because he's remarkable in the amount of information, not only that he's consuming, but that he's able to communicate to the American people. The American people are loving the transparency and loving the accountability of this government, because guess what? The government works for us, not the other way around. You know what I mean? And that's, I think, just very refreshing to watch, that finally we're getting the sledgehammer and breaking down these, I think, just archaic institutions that we've seen here in Washington.
So I wanted, to just sort of lead into your segment here with the press, because that's what you did at the White House, and this is what you managed. And it was nightmarish during the first term. It does seem like it's not, the same tricks aren't working in the second term, and maybe zooming out and giving us sort of your perspective on why the second term is so different.
Right. Well, first, I think that the administration came in with a very I would say organized set of goals that they wanted to accomplish. They moved very quickly on so many of these executive orders. I think the president recognizes that he has huge political capital right now, and he's going to use it. And I think also the team is, I would say, incredibly cohesive, incredibly talented. Hats off to Susie Wiles, who's been able to control leaks, for example, that would come out of the White House. During my time, there were so many factions, and I always felt like one was trying to destroy the other faction, and it was actually very detrimental in getting the work done. It was always the one leak, and then or the other leak, or someone would get mad at the other person. And Susie's really, I think, done a remarkable job of just saying, look, we don't have time for this. We got to get work done. There's no time for internal fighting. And if there is internal fighting, we're not going to put it out there in the press. And I think that has been a huge win, I think, for President Trump. And look, he himself, what he's gone through in the last 4 years, and now the fact that he's back, he understands clearly what has to get done. He has to reverse the damage that has been produced because of Joe Biden and his administration. And he knows that he owes it to the American people. Look, and, I remember I met with the president not long ago, and it was very much the conversation from him was, I hope I have enough time to get done what we have to get done to reverse the damage that we saw under Joe Biden. So he himself is putting himself on a deadline to say it's got to get done now or never.
It does seem like he has not only finally the team internally, but also the team externally. Right. Nobody really cares. I mean, it's like remarkable to see the diminished power of the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN, MSNBC. Yes. They are like neutered dogs with but the kind of sad dogs with like the cone on its head, right? That's like just kind of like whimpering. And
they're not sad dogs. They're ugly dogs. Really ugly dogs, let me tell you.
Yeah. I mean, listen, like we don't try to bring up Joy Reid on this program. Javier Milei.
Yes.
Other world leaders.
Yes.
It's like this like sort of Avengers almost that, and this is like clip from CPAC. I think it was a year ago or two where Javier Milei and Trump met, and they were like uniting. We may have a redo of this in a week.
Possibly.
We'll see.
Well, yes, President Milei is coming. I will want to share with you some insight on
Please.
When President Milei and Donald Trump met, because as being a Latina, the Latin Americans, we're very huggy. We're very like, oh, kiss you on the cheek, because now you live in Florida, right? So so Milei gets so excited to see the president that he just goes in for like the bear hug to like kiss Trump on the cheek, and Trump is going back like this, Benny, like, oh, what is he? What? And then he just calmed down. But I think President Milei was so excited to meet Donald Trump because I think Donald Trump has had a huge influence on how Milei has basically managed as a president. And, we've been so blessed because CPAC has really exploded internationally. It's expanded internationally. We got to do a CPAC Argentina back in December, and Laura Trump was with us, as well as Ben Shapiro and several others, and which we're going to have to get you on the international travels with us. And it's truly remarkable. It is this vision of economic prosperity, of organizing at the grassroots level, of basically weeding out, what would be taking down the fake news, which is everywhere, all across the globe. Yes. And also finding these conservative leaders who are strong, willing to fight, and to win these elections. Some of these countries have horrible issues with their judges. Oh boy, look what we're seeing here in the United States, right? They're experiencing the weaponization of their judicial system, something that's happening here as well. And so we're able to work closely with so many of these different countries to say, look, we can help you. And let's help each other in terms of ensuring that we can get some very strong conservative leaders in these nations. And they've all kind of become friends. And we see this in Italy with Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who will actually is not able to come, but will have a special appearance at CPAC. And we've got several of these other foreign leaders who will be joining us as well. And we kick off CPAC with the International Summit, Benny, and it is people from different regions. Nigel Farage will be with us, Liz Truss. We have individuals coming from all the different regions, and we go and have these exchanges of saying, okay, what's happening in your country? All right, how can we work together and make sure that we're able to fight back on the wokeism and on how do we build, strong economic societies? How do we make sure our families are protected? And it is the most fascinating, I think, exchanges. And that is why we've seen about 40 countries who have come to CPAC and say, can you please bring CPAC to our country? And our goal is to continue to expand that with the priority of America being first. And the fact is that for us, obviously, making sure that the progress we've made here in America continues to build strongly from the grassroots level, obviously from, the kinds of work that you do to reach out and deliver real analysis, real news to people so that they're well informed. And I think we need Benito Johnson out in, Mexico and Brazil. That's what we need. We need people like you that can be out in these countries because they need these alternative voices to be able to speak to the masses and be able to deliver these messages and wake them up and say, listen, you have an alternative here. Move away from the socialism. Stop the communism in the country that's so destructive, and embrace these values of freedom and these values of conservatism, of faith, of family and country, and let that be your, be empowered to do that in your community. And I think, that's one of the things that we're going to keep doing. And it's one of the things that we're going to be able to highlight at CPAC.
Our production chat is just melting down at Benito Johnson.
Benito, I love it.
Okay,
I love it. I see it already. I'm so excited.
Yep, we grow a mustache. Okay, yeah. We get instead
of
sombrero,
salsa, you're going to be great.
That's right. We get a salty margarita, big giant salty margarita.
Yeah.
Okay, it'll be perfect.
With AI, we could literally make your show in Spanish.
They're already making it. They're telling me they're already making.
There you go.
They're telling me they're already making the AI. So Benito,
there you go.
Benito Johnson with the mustache and the sombrero. Okay.
Oh, I'm in. Totally in.
My culture is not your costume. Okay, we're gonna Benito Johnson gets very upset when you call it the Gulf of America. Okay, great. Great. All right, fantastic. So now we have an alias in case we ever.
Exactly. I can't wait.
Yeah. All right. Great. Okay. This is going to be a very, very fun week.
Yes.
CPAC speakers. We will be there. We'll be speaking on Thursday. We're very excited about it. And it's going to be rock and roll. You have a slate of incredible speakers.
We do.
President
Trump will be there. Vice President J.D. Vance will be there as well. We've got several of the secretaries who have confirmed. There'll be a lot more surprises, which we cannot announce right now, but we're looking forward to several sort of big tech titans coming as well. And then Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, a lot of these White House officials, top officials, Dan Scavino. We've got Alina Habba going, Caroline Leavitt. It is just remarkable what's happening. And so, but there's still tickets available. So we'd love if you're in town here in Maryland, in the DC area, to come and join us, or Virginia, or anywhere really in the country, come join us. It's February 19th through the 22nd at cpac.org. The tickets are selling out very, very quickly, Benny. But I got to tell you, the energy, the excitement, the idea that we're going to be able to bring so many people, so many conservatives together, not only from America, but they're sending delegations from across the globe to be here, I think is absolutely just remarkable.
Here's their site. It's on screen right now, cpac.org. You can see right here, and you can see the speaker lineup.
And we keep adding. We're going to actually, one of the big announcements today is there will be hostage families joining us to speak on stage of those who have loved ones who are still being held hostage by Hamas. I mean, those are the real heroes. Those are the real people that we want to highlight. Because no one should go through the torture and the tragedy that we've seen from our Jewish brothers and sisters. And so that is what, we're going to be with them, and they're going to be joining us on stage as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can see also someone who will be a huge speaker here. I think I'm
there. He is. Benito Johnson. I love it.
I don't want to get ahead of you, Mercy, but
he's really handsome. Wow.
Benito Johnson.
Benito, I'm getting you a chihuahua. You're going to have a chihuahua too. Okay. Oh my gosh.
Benito Johnson is very upset that RFK Jr. is going to ban all of the Taco Bell ingredients that he loves so much.
Really?
Okay. Now, can I do that?
That one's even better. I like that one.
A little more Italian. I like this one. This one's my favorite. Very, very rustic. This is the agave farmer.
Yeah, totally. That's
Benito
the tequila farmer. That's for sure.
Why are the expressions so insane?
That's because you drank a lot of tequila, apparently. I don't know.
And of course, our own very humble, very modest executive producer, the great Alex the Lord.
He will be there. Here. I know we have a lot of excitement. A lot of people are excited about ALX, and they're very excited about not just Benito Johnson, but his twin brother, Benny Johnson, who will be speaking at CPAC.
Many people say they're very excited about ALX. They've heard about him. They see him. They see it. Is he real? Is he AI?
They repost. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You gave the quote. Thank you for the quote. ALX has already tweeted it. It's great. We're excited to be there. We're so thrilled to be partnering with CPAC, and it will be extremely, extremely fun. So get there. It'll be at the Gaylord National there, right outside of Washington, D.C. It's going to be rowdy.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Mercy.
Thank you. It's great to see you. We'll see you this week.
We appreciate it. You've created a new character on the show. So
I know. This is so much fun. I can't wait. You can thank me later.
All right. All right. See you, Mercy.
Thanks. Take care.
ALX, she literally did it. People are very excited. I hear it. The ALX, they're very excited. They tell me they're very excited about the ALX. She did the Trump. It's great. It's great. A lot of fun on this program. Not as much fun, ladies and gentlemen, as RFK Jr. is going to be having at HHS as he burns the place to ashes and cinders. Since we covered it on the show yesterday, I just wanted to, and since this happened late into the evening, RFK got officially sworn in the Oval Office. RFK gets sworn in. He is now in charge. I mean, you could argue that he's the most powerful cabinet secretary. How can you make that argument? Well, because he has so many big name agencies under him, right? HHS secretary is in charge of the FDA, the CDC, the National Institutes of Health. The National Institutes of Health has NAID under it. This is what Fauci was in charge of. Now RFK is in charge. The guy who wrote the book, The Real Anthony Fauci, is in charge of all of that. And here's what he had to say, ladies and gentlemen, about what's happening right now inside of our federal government. Here we go.
And most recently, I greatly appreciate, and I called you the day that you announced the termination of USAID. My uncle started USAID in 1961 for humanitarian purposes, to put our country on the side of the poor. It has been captured by the military-industrial complex. It has become a sinister propagator of totalitarianism and war across the globe. And very few people understand how sinister this agency really is. And President Trump saw that, and he stood up to it with a masterstroke. And we want to do the same thing with the institutions that are stealing the health of our children. We need a revolutionary figure, and you are that figure, and I'm very grateful for you for giving me this opportunity.
That's a rowdy round of applause there for the Oval Office. How many people they got in there? Wish I could have been there. Come on, RFK. What a G. And then he repeated, of course, the line that he said many, many times over, that America is the richest people, but also the sickest people on earth. That doesn't seem right. We should be the pinnacle of health, actually, if we have the greatest technology, if we have the most wealth, if we have the most advanced society, which we do. Go travel to other first world nations, and you will be pining for America. Travel to a third world, and you'll be screaming for America. Go to Europe. They don't even have ice. Ask for ice. They're like, no. Ask for air conditioning in first world Europe. They don't have it. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, RFK is saying, no, we should be the pinnacle of health in this nation, not the abominations. Here we go.
We are 4.2% of the world's population. We buy 70% of the pharmaceutical drugs on earth. We spend 2 to 3 times what other countries pay for health care, and we have the worst health outcomes. We literally have the sickest population in the world. Those are the people that got us there. We do need a break. We need somebody different who can come in and say, I'm going to be a disruptor. I'm not going to let the food industry and the pharmaceutical industry run health policy anymore. We're going to turn health policy over to people who are actually concerned with public health.
Come on, man. We're here for it. Speaking of public health, man, my kids have had the flu. My wife just confirmed that she had a flu test. My kids have had the flu this past week. But we've rifled through it, right? All right, ladies and gentlemen. As we carry on, here we go. let's carry on here into the Ask Benny Anything section of the show. Every single Friday, you can ask Benny anything. Let's go. Okay, from Lenoti Popov. Leoti. Sorry about that. I'm not Italian, right? Italian. Do you believe when Kash Patel gets confirmed, the U.S. Senate will that he will declassify the Epstein list, but as well as expose the entire Biden crime family for the Ukraine company Burisma since 2014? The FBI was the agency, and thank you for the question, Leonti. You don't pay me to, nobody pays me to speak Italian, okay? But I'll give him my best shot. The FBI was the actual safety deposit box for all of the evidence, the obscene amount of criminal evidence against the Biden crime family. This is where they stored it all. They parked it all at the FBI, knowing that they could literally lock it down. Do you think that Kash Patel is going to allow them to continue to lock it down? So there are pardons for the Biden crime family that Joe Biden gave. Those pardons don't cover treason. You can't pardon someone for treason against America. Those pardons don't prevent somebody from opening up a criminal investigation and running it through with all of the evidence and showing everybody everything. And more importantly, it doesn't stop you from being able to be hauled into Congress, asked about these things, and you don't have the ability to take the fifth. Don't answer. There's more criminal charges. There's your criminal charges. It also doesn't stop states, which makes me this is something that's been very frustrating for me. Leonti is why haven't state attorney generals opened up? The pardons are not for state crimes. So how about the states go open up investigations? The Bidens ran criminal operations here in Florida. Why doesn't Florida open an investigation on the Biden crime family? Why not do it in Arkansas or Texas, Louisiana? That's a red state. Why not do it there? They were trying to sell LNG through Louisiana. Well, there's your jurisdiction. Open it up there. You can charge them. Just a thought. But yeah, of course Kash is going to do that. He's been on this program. He said it. And we know he is a trustworthy individual. And he will be confirmed next week. Very excited about that. Noreen Hicks says, when you make it to the press room, you said you're not sure what to ask. Will you be able to ask if there's some type of real-time line where we will see these bad actors, treasonous people, in orange jumpsuits? Yeah, I think you have to. The arrests come later, right? So right now you have the firings and the clawbacks. Right now all you're trying to do is triage for the patient. Stop the bleeding. So stop all the money from going to the criminal organizations, claw it all back, reverse the bleeding, okay? Next comes the actual revenge stage of all of this, where people go to jail, Noreen. And yes, there will actually be people, there will be treasonous people in jumpsuits. Believe that. If you saw the way that Pam Bondi was talking yesterday, believe that. Bobby and Julie Eric. I think the people of the country need to know what they are hiding in the Smithsonian, deep in the dark basement. Which one of your buddies in the government could help us find that out? Well, we can help you find that out. We actually have there's actually a secret, I did a story 10 years ago on the Secret Army Art Museum that's not available to the public. And I went, and they had all this stolen Nazi art. It's crazy. I think that Klein has it potentially pulled up here. It's in this giant warehouse in Virginia, in Fort Belvoir. And the answer is yes. There's all this art and all these artifacts the government's stolen is straight up out of Indiana Jones, and it's nuts. The army keeps it, and they keep it under lock and key for some reason. They should just literally open up a museum and show people. They stole these great masterpieces from like collections all around Europe. I'm not sure, there's like some rational reasons why we did this. This is one of the first things I've asked to go see again, because last time I was only able to go take photos. I want to like go back with like the full production team and like tell the story of this. But yeah, yes, straight out of Indiana Jones and the Ark of the Covenant, like the final scene, it's real. It's real. It actually happened, and it exists. And I know exactly where it is, and so we're gonna go back to the basement of the Smithsonian. Yeah, I'd love to go there too. Now that we have all the keys, and we do have all the keys, right? We just need to ask. We'll be going. It's gonna be exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to ask questions on this program or ask questions of some of the big names that we will have on the program next week, then please join the Betty Brigade. Go on over to BennyJohnson.com. Sign up today. $5. $5 a month. Actually, less than that, actually. And you can be someone who supports our journalism and the show, the fastest growing streaming show, news streaming show in the world. And we're doing it to just save our country. And that's it. And we thank you. And if you don't have that capacity, then just watching and subscribing means the world to us. We're building an army here, a brigade, and we're going to fight. We're going to win. And we have been winning. And it's been really, really exciting. How do we win? We keep our eyes set on the prize with our verse of the day. From John 13, a new commandment I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, you must love one another. Happy Valentine's Day. That's right. We love this country. We love you, and we say it all the time. We fight because of what we love, and we should love like Christ, and we should be willing and able to lay down our lives for our children. But more importantly, it's one thing to lay down your life and die. It's a totally different thing to lay down your life and live, and to live out that sacrifice every single day, and to go in and let her rip and do the show and fight on, and to continue, and just the act of going in and grinding, that's a sacrifice. And a lot, honestly, sometimes it takes, you know it, and I know it, sometimes it takes so much to just get up and grind. And if you're doing it for the right reasons, if you're doing it for your children, your family, your country, you're a noble person. You're living out that command of Christ to love one another, to make this country a beautiful place where we want to live, a safe country, a country where we can be neighborly again, a country that has high trust, a country that you would want to give to your kids one day. And that's what we're about on this program. So take that in the weekend, hopefully spent with your families. I will certainly be spending it with mine. And have a beautiful one here in the greatest country on earth. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
Right. I am carrying extra weight.
Anyone who brings candy into this camp is not your friend.
No, man, that's my thing. No dinner, no lunch, no breakfast.
Looks like my man's packing.
Who would like to own up to this treasure trove? My grandma runs faster than you, and she's only got one leg.
Oh, look! A deli meat.
I eat success for breakfast.
With skim milk. You disgust me.
Well, congratulations. You just joined the 76% of Americans who forget to stretch before physical activity.
Valentine's Day is for taking the time to say, I love us.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Oh, excuse me, ladies, coming through. Guess what day? Ooh, popcorn! Hey, guess what? Popcorn! What day is it? What's today? What? What, do I have popcorn in my teeth? Hey, Mike! Guess what day it is? Oh, is that your mom, man? Oh, movies with your mom. I dig it, dude. That's nice. Valentine's Day. Whoop, whoop! Yeah!
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings. And their dying legacy, media still reads. Soon will the penny show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.